when I first drove into State College, the first thing you notice is the stadium and the practice fields and this beautiful university, and you realize right away how important football is here. And we feel great about the team that we have right now, and so it's important for me and our team and our staff to get out in the community and get to know people, and it's important for the people to see what we're all about as a staff and as a team, and again, we're really excited about getting going tomorrow.
Who were some of the people that shaped your amateur football career back in high school and in college?
Well, I played for a lot of great coaches growing up. I grew up outside of Boston, had great Little League coaches. Went to a Catholic high school in Danvers and played for a great high school coach there, and then went to Brown and played for some really good coaches there, and then obviously worked for George O'Leary and Ralph and Bill Belichick throughout in my coaching career. So I've had a lot of role models in coaching, and the thing about it is when you play for guys like that and you have an interest in coaching, those are the guys that kind of mold you and shape you. So I owe a lot to those guys. So especially the high school coaches, the guys that coached me when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. So it's exciting to when I get asked questions about those guys, it's exciting to talk about them.
You talked about locking down Pennsylvania from the recruiting side. Can you talk about the process of building those relationships with coaches in state and your message to them?
Well, it's really important. I mean, we're the state university in Pennsylvania. We're right in the middle of the state. We have a tremendous university, a really, really good football program, a lot to sell, academically, huge amount of things to sell. Yesterday we had about 7 junior recruits on campus for unofficial visits, and the more you're here, the more you realize how special it is, and the looks on their faces when they see our campus and see our football facilities and meet the people involved with the football program, and then you start talking to them about all the things that Penn State have to offer. 160 majors to choose from, the football program, playing in front of 108,000 people. So for me, what's most important is to try to get as many guys in the core of our roster that come from driving distance, and mainly from Pennsylvania. I think that many kids that come here will have a tremendous amount of pride in playing for their state university, coming from Pennsylvania, and then from that point forward, it's probably about a 5-6 hour drive that we're really recruiting the core of our roster, and then we get into Georgia and Florida a little bit because of our connections, but the core of the roster will come from that 4 to 6 hour drive, from Penn State.
How do you think the process is going with establishing those relationships with the Pennsylvania coaches?
The process has been good. I've spoken at 3 or 4 clinics, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Allentown, and we've had good receptions at all of those. We have a high school clinic this Friday over at the Lash, and they'll get a chance to talk football with us and then watch practice on Saturday. The thing that I love about Pennsylvania high school football is how passionate and how important it is in the fabric of people's lives. So, that's basically what our staff and myself, what we're all about. So it's really been a neat thing for me to meet all these Pennsylvania high school coaches, and I feel like the process has been good to this point. The one thing that you have to do as a recruiter, what we have to do here is just be honest. Tell them what we have. Tell them what we have to sell as far as academics and the football program, and then let their kids make the choice of whether they want to come here or not. But that's what we do. We just talk about Penn State, and to this point, the reception from the high school coaches has been excellent.
Coach, now you've been here a while and you've had a chance to assess what you have. Like, when you look at sort of the recruiting class of 2013, are there specific positions of need that you'd like to shore up?
Well, no question. I mean, I'm not going to really get into the specifics of that right here, but what you do, the first thing that we did when we got here is we evaluated the roster, both from a playing standpoint, from an academic standpoint, and then from an eligibility standpoint, meaning how many years do certain guys have left. And then at that point, that's where you make the decisions on what your needs are and things like that. We'll keep that amongst ourselves as a staff. But that's the first thing that you want to do when you take the job, is to see where the program is at this point and what you need to do to get it to where it's a full roster, a balanced roster. You don't want an imbalance of this many guys at this position versus only this many guys at this position. So that's the first thing we did, and we feel like we're on the right track with filling those meetings.
What feedback did you get from the coaches when you went and talked to them at these different places?
What feedback?
Yeah, what did they tell you in terms of recruiting, that sort of thing?
Well, a lot of those conversations I'd really, again, that's between myself and the high school coach, but again, I got the distinct feeling that they really want to send their kids to Penn State. And then they appreciate our honesty. One of the things that you'll find out about me each day that you're around me is that there's only one way to be, and that's honest. And we just tell them what we're looking for in a player. We want a player that, number one, has excellent academics, an excellent academic background, or at least has shown the ability to work hard in the classroom. And then we want the best football players out there. So what we call that is the best and the brightest. We want the best and the brightest. And I've told our staff every single day that we don't settle for anything but that. So we tell the Pennsylvania high school coaches and all the high school coaches that we come into contact with that that's what we want, and that's what we do. And then the other thing that we do is we recruit as a team. You have 9 full-time assistants on your staff, and so it can never be 9 different corporations. It's always got to be one team, and that's what we're doing right now. We have a good system in place, and our staff has really moved forward on working as one team, and we feel like we're moving in the right direction.
How do you evaluate organizational depth, and how deep should you be at each position?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we look at it. You have 85 scholarships, so you try to divide it up as best you can in a balanced way. I'm not going to get into the specific numbers, but you basically want to be balanced on offense, defense, and then your specialists. And we're in the process of doing that. Like right now, give you an example, we have, I think it's 16 or 17 offensive linemen going into spring practice, which is absolutely unheard of. Any of the college coaches that are here will tell you that that's unheard of going into spring. The places that I've been, you have 8, 9, 10 maybe at the most. Well, we have 3 deep. Well, that means at another position, like secondary, we don't have as many players. We have 9, 10 secondary players. So we've got to balance that off as we go forward here over the next couple of years. We've got to get it to where we have this amount of offensive linemen, this amount of secondary players, so we don't have an imbalance there. So what we've done to take care of that this season, going into this season, is we've moved a couple kids. When we talk about these guys and we bring them into my office and we talk about moving positions, we really leave the decision up to them. This is not something where we dictate, hey, you have to move a position. We tell them, just like we do with everybody in our organization, what the role is going to be for where we're moving them, and then we let them think about it a little bit. And so we've made a couple roster moves that gets us a little bit more balanced in the certain positions. So that's where we're headed right now. And as far as the exact numbers, I'll never get into that with you. That's just that's between myself and the staff, and then we'll go from there.
Bill, can the Pennsylvania kids on your roster now be some of the best recruiting tools to recruit other kids from Pennsylvania? In other words, do you send, if you're recruiting somebody from Pittsburgh, do you send some guys from Pittsburgh on the team to just talk to them? Or
I'm still, the NCAA rule book's about this thick. My wife's a lawyer, and I remember when she was studying for the bar, she had stacks of books, piled up on the kitchen table, and really the NCAA rule book looks like a law book. So I'm still trying to learn these rules, but the one thing about the NCAA rules is really pretty specific about kids on your team helping you recruit off campus. That can't happen.
Well, I just meant like during campus visits.
Yeah, when they come on campus, sure, we use our Pennsylvania kids to talk to Pennsylvania kids, but we have a really good bunch of kids on this team. We've had probably 10 total 5:30 a.m. workouts. We haven't had one kid late. We haven't had anybody miss. We've had really, really good class attendance to this point. Look, we don't have 125 angels. That's not what I'm saying. But we got a bunch of good kids, and so we use our whole team when guys come on campus to help us recruit. And to me, one of the best things about our guys is the way they are with the parents of these prospects when they come on campus. When you're a parent of a prospect and you have a chance to meet Silas Redd, or Mike Zordich, or Jordan Hill, that to me is as much of a selling point in recruiting as anything. So they certainly do help when guys come on campus.
Coach, what about, with the social networking and everything these days, how's that changed from, say, when you were at Georgia Tech? And I know a lot of the kids that you have verbally committed now go out and talk to each other. How does that play into the whole recruiting scenario?
It's unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen anything like Facebook, Twitter. Bill Belichick used to call it Spacebook. That was good. The one thing about that is, I think social media is important. I really do. But I think that these kids have to understand, when you tweet something, that it's out there. Anyone can see what you tweet. When you put something on Facebook, it's basically out there, unless you set up your account in a certain way that's private and all that stuff, which I don't really understand all that. But so I think our guys really have to understand that. We have certain things on our team, with our current team, that we talk about as far as, whatever happens in that Lash building as far as our football team goes. When we talk about schemes and we talk about some of the different things, how we approach practice, and that's really between myself and the team. So that's something that we shouldn't be seeing on Twitter or Facebook. But as far as the prospects go, it is a pretty neat deal when a certain prospect can Facebook with another guy and talk to him about his experience when he traveled to Penn State for a junior day. So I do see the benefit of that, but I think we got to be really careful when we're with our guys about advising them, when it comes to those things, and just make sure that they know the parameters.
Coach, what about the message that you're going to try to deliver with your keynotes speech today? What are you trying to get across?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I thought a lot about this. This is a very special day for these high school and college guys being honored this way. It's a very special award and very special scholarships, and you can tell by the turnout here that it's a great day. And so what I want to do is basically congratulate them, but then I'm going to talk to them about leadership and some of the qualities that I think makes a good leader. And so there's probably 5 or 6 points. I won't pull out a scroll, so we won't be here all afternoon, but there's some important points that I want to get across to these guys, because it's very rare that you can have a group of kids in one room that really are the future leaders, really potentially of the country, the state, the country, and to me, we've got to do a better job with leadership and overall. And so I will talk to these guys about what I think makes a good leader.
Coach, as a head coach now, what do you expect to be doing in spring practice in terms of the fact that you used to work with the quarterbacks? How do you think you're going to divide your time now?
Yeah, well, I'll be primarily involved with the offense, but Charlie Fisher will coach the quarterbacks in most of the individual drills, and he'll have them in certain individual meetings. I'll install the offense, but I'll also start pretty much every day with a team meeting. What we're going to try to do this spring is we've got a number of goals that we need to get accomplished. Number one is we've got to find out who the top 60 players on this football team are. Who are the guys that are going to be on that bus going to that game? And then what seats do they fill on that bus? So we've got to find out who the top 60 players on the team are. Then we've got to make sure, while we're doing that we put in our systems, offense, defense, special teams. We'll spend a lot of time on all 3 areas, and so that these guys can go out and play fast. We're not going to try to reinvent the wheel this spring. We've got to find out as a coaching staff who our best football players are. So that's something we're going to do. Then what's really important to me, what probably is one of the biggest things that I learned in my career, and especially in New England, is to make these guys situationally aware. So like tonight we have a team meeting, we'll talk to them about the next 2 days involves first and second down. What's the offense trying to do on first and second down? What's the defense trying to do on first and second down? And then as we move to third down, and as we move to red area, and we move to backed up, and we move to 2 minute, we're going to really try to make these guys understand situational football and how it relates to playing the game. So those are some things that we really want to get accomplished, and hopefully by the end of spring we'll have those things accomplished.
Have you decided who's going to be the offensive play caller?
I'll be calling plays.
Bill, you're 1 day away from your first practice as a head coach. How excited are you for this for it to get here?
I mean, I can't. I'm so sick of sitting in that office. I can't wait to get out there and start coaching football. You know, it's interesting too, because I was sitting there this morning, I went to church, and I was thinking, you know, about a month and a half ago, or whatever it was, a little over a month and a half ago, I was calling plays in the Super Bowl, and now here I am sitting here on Monday, getting ready to run our first spring practice at Penn State. So that's a pretty neat deal, and that's football, and so I can't wait to get out there and start coaching these guys. I'm really excited about working with these kids. These are guys that have made a big commitment to this point, to what we've asked them to do. These guys have a lot of demands on their time. You know, this isn't a football factory. This is a place that believes in education and academics, and so they have to balance their time between class, study hall, weightlifting, conditioning, and now going into spring practice. These next 2 weeks of school at Penn State are really important. These are, you know, final exam times and things like that, and now they have to balance that with spring practice. So I've been really impressed with these guys, and I can't wait to start coaching them on the field.
I'm not sure if you were among them, but some of your staff recently went down to Tuscaloosa to observe a practice down at Alabama. Was that an idea that kind of was conjugated with Nick in Allentown, and what did you take away from that? What kind of feedback did you receive from them?
I'd really like to just keep that between Nick Saban and myself, but you know, Nick's a great coach, probably the best coach in college football. He's a proven coach, and so you know, I've known him for a while, and you know, that's just a relationship that's been important to me.
Talk about challenges for your kids. How about for you? What's been some of the biggest challenges for you these first couple months as you get adjusted to the head coaching role?
Yeah, it's totally different than being an offensive coordinator. You know, when you're an offensive coordinator, you're in charge of, you know, the offense and the schemes and the evaluation of your talent on offense. As a head coach, you're in charge of the whole football team, so a lot of different things come across your desk. But the one thing that I'm pretty decent at is time management. So I divide my day up pretty well where, you know, I work on recruiting in the morning, I work on football in the afternoon. On the weekends, I return all my emails. You know, so I try to budget my time really well so that, you know, that I'm able to accomplish all the tasks that I need to accomplish on a daily basis.
Having grown up in Boston area metropolitan, is it a culture shock to come to a state college?
Culture shock's not the right phrase. It's a beautiful place, you know, and so when you go from 20 minutes outside of Boston, you know, the funny story about that is a couple weeks ago I had to catch a flight out of the State College airport, and somebody in the, you know, it was like a 5 o'clock flight, and somebody in the office says, "Hey, you better be careful now, the traffic's going to be really bad." I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "I've been sitting in traffic for most of my adult life in Boston." So, but it's a very special place. I'll say this. What's really neat about State College is, you know, for instance, where our practice fields are. You know, we bring these prospects onto our campus, and you sit there and you watch them look around, and you're able to practice football with the mountains in the background, with the stadium in the background. I mean, there can't be a better setting in college football. Like I said when I took the job, this is the jewel of college football. So we have to go out there and make sure that we understand that as a staff, and that our players understand that. You should take a tremendous amount of pride in playing football here and being from here and going to school here. It's a great place.
Okay, one last question. No questions, that's a good way to wind up then. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.